How's it going, guys? I want to share with you guys my favorite build for the brand new Tyrannotitan and Titans. This dinosaur looks amazing and is amazing, and it's just came out recently, so I want to try to give you guys my thoughts on the build that you should run and what you kind of should start building your dino into as you're growing it on official servers. I've basically been able to play around with it on modded servers. I'm still growing mine on official, but I wanted to get this video out here a little bit earlier to try to share with you guys what I'm doing for my build and what I think works the best for me. And so if you guys have a playstyle similar to me, maybe you'll enjoy this build. So let's just jump right into it and share with you guys what I've figured out to be really fun and what works so far. So we'll start it as we always do. I forgot I'm on a modded server, so I have to lay down to show the subspecies. So just give me a second. Okay. So I am going with the Chubutennis, I think is how you say that, subspecies, plus 10% venom and bleed healing. Now, mostly what we're looking at here is the bleed healing when it comes to the subspecies for my build, because the bleed healing is the biggest factor. This dinosaur actually relies heavily on bleed damage, and I think this dinosaur really pairs well with the aloe for sure. The other two, I guess, subspecies, we'll just look at them real quick. You have this one that is a plus 5% bleed damage. This is also a really nice pick. I'm not a huge fan of the model. It looks like it's got a big old dome on the top of its head there. Um, but this is also a really good pick for a subspecies. And then you have the health recovery. Now, I think this one's kind of okay if you're going to, like, do a fight and then go run off somewhere and try to heal on official servers. But honestly, the way that mix packing goes and things like that, and the amount of people that are fighting you, and even in a 1v1, if it's taken a long time, you don't heal, you don't recover health when you're in combat. So as long as you're in combat, you're not going to recover health. So I feel like that really makes this subspecies not worth it. So for our build, we are running this one here, the Chubutinus, plus 10% venom and bleed healing. And like I said, big emphasis on the bleed healing there. Looking over at our abilities, we have two head slots. Our first spammable bite that we are going to use is the regular bite. So this is our spammable attack, sorry. And as it reads here, it says that it causes high damage, and it really does a little bit more than that. It adds bleed as well, and that's really, like I said, the biggest factor with this dinosaur, is that it does a lot of bleed damage. So this is our main spammable right here, and this is what's going to cause a lot of damage and get that bleed going. Our second slot is the heavy bite. It's a very strong but delayed bite. It's very similar to the T-Rex's crushing bite, and but it's easy to land if once you get the timing down. This does a lot of damage. However, it has a 14-second cooldown after you use it. So when you enter a fight, I'll just talk about this real quick. When you enter a fight, you want to land your regular bite first on your target, and then you want to land your heavy bite after that. And then your heavy bite is going to be on a 14-second cooldown. You then want to use your regular bite, spam those out, or you want to turn your back, use a tail smack to knock them back, and then kind of move away from them. And then you have this ability over here that we're going to use talk a little bit about later. But you're going to use juke to get turned around again, to land this bite again, to get the bleed going, and of course go right back into heavy biting. So you're basically trying to increase the damage from your first bite to get your heavy bite. So we'll talk about that a little bit after we go through the abilities. So we'll move on to the senses. You have some interesting picks here. I won't go into all of them because I want to try to keep this video a little bit shorter. But I am running on my build Fresh Blood. This increases the attack damage by 10% within 50 meters of a bleeding creature, which is super, super useful. Because this is the same buff that the aloe has when it's fighting. So again, when there's a creature that's bleeding within 50 meters of you, you're getting a plus 10% increased attack damage, which is huge, and this is why we want to land our regular bite, because this bite does do bleed damage on the target. So this is going to set you up for high damage, increase 10%, and then when you land your heavy bite following that, you're going to get that increased 10% on the heavy bite. And once you kind of get your first bite going, the bleed usually stays on the target for most of the fight. So, but you want to just kind of keep the bleed up, basically, on the dinosaur. So for senses, we're running Fresh Blood. For metabolism, you only have the one choice, which is hypercarnivore. You're only able to eat fresh meat, so you know you're going to be farming those critters and looking for as many fights as you can so you can feed yourself. Moving on to the hide, excuse me, we have Rugged Hide, and this here is, I think, in my opinion, the best one so far. Increases bleed heal, fracture heal, poison heal, venom heal, and toxin heal by 40%, which is huge because again, this dinosaur, and there's going to be a lot of them on the maps on official servers, especially now that this is a new dino. The bleed heal just goes insane. We need that bleed heal to be able to survive the fights that we're going to be getting into. There is other builds out there for like the dried blood, for blood soaked and all that stuff, but we're not running that because unfortunately rain washes it off, and you have to have another dino to be able to start to get that those benefits. And I'm usually more focused on getting the kill and the 1v1 and stuff like that, so I usually focus on damage and defense. So rugged hide is what we're going with. It's because of that 40% bleed heal mainly, and the other ones are really nice too. What it does. So yeah, we're gonna run that. And then for legs, you're going to want to run Nimble Feet, and that's going to pair really well with our back limb here in a second. But Nimble Feet, it says that your dash and juke gain a 25% faster cooldowns. Now, I'll just might as well talk about our juke real quick while we're at it on our back limb, because you only have these two abilities that you can put on your back limb, which is dash or juke. But juke is what we run for the build, and being able to rapidly turn in on a dime basically is super huge, and that's going to help you basically in your fights. This dinosaur is a lot more maneuverable. You can't just stand there and spam as much as you can with like a T-Rex, so you have to be a little bit more maneuverable with this dinosaur. I'm still trying to get the hang of it a little bit myself, but I feel like I've done a lot better after getting some practice in. So you want Nimble Feet basically to give you that reduced cooldown on your movement abilities on your back leg. So, and we'll talk about juke a little bit right now. Moving in on the back limb, so we're running juke, and it says here that you rapidly turn to face the face behind you and change your direction. So essentially what that means is that as soon as you're running, you know, you're able to basically pivot and turn on a dime and just change your momentum in your direction completely. And this is super useful for being able to get in there, land the regular bite, get the bleed going, land your heavy bite, get that high damage, right, because that's going to pair with your 10% increased damage. And then from there, once you go on that cooldown, just to stall for the cooldown timer if you want, you can instantly bite, heavy bite, turn to start running. As you run, you can hit them with your tail attack, which we'll talk about here in a second, but that does knockback. And then you know, be able to create the distance, keep them at the tip of your tail so that just so they can't hit you. And then you're going to be able to, once you feel that your heavy bite's going to come back online, you can hit the juke to turn and do a 180 real quick and go right back on them, and then you can hit them with a heavy bite and go right back into your regular bite and get some damage in that way. So you want to be able to be more mobile on this dinosaur. So for our back limb, we're running juke to be able to hit the 180 and turn on any opponents. This also helps for smaller dinos that are getting behind you. You can defend yourself by using juke to turn around. So that's why these two abilities go really well. So we're running Nimble Feet and juke. I feel like I talked about that for way too long, but anyway. For the tail attack, you only have the one ability, so you want to put it in there, but for this actual dinosaur, this becomes really huge in your playstyle and in your fight style, being able to tail attack and cause the knockback. And that knockback is very, very important in the way that we fight other apexes on this build. And it's also important for defending yourself against smaller dinos that like to get up behind you as well. So tail attacks, like, I think every dino has tail attack in this game, I'm pretty sure. But so I'm pretty sure you guys know what it already does. So, but it's for creating space. It's really good for the fight. And last but not least, we'll talk about the voice. We have a few different options here, but I feel that the best one is the Terrifying Presence. This is basically, as my friend called it, this is basically a mini T-Rex buff. It reduces all incoming damage by 15% for 60 seconds. So this is a full minute buff, but it reduces the damage by 15%, which is pretty huge if you're going to go face to face with another Tyrannotitan or a T-Rex or things like that. So this is kind of what you want if you're going to be fighting a bigger dino. If you wanted to switch it up, you could look at some of these things here, reducing the bleed heal for other creatures. If you're actually trying to be offensive with a group of allos, this might be a better option for you. If you're going to play with a lot of allos in your group, or even other Tyrannotitans, this might be an option. I still think that Terrifying Presence is a good option either which way in group, because it's a little bit more selfish, but it does help you even in a group. But if you wanted to mix things up, you could go with the Blood Chilling Roar, or you could do the whole running start one as well, which allows you to move uphill a lot faster and also move downhill a lot faster. So this here's also kind of helpful for keeping your momentum to chase things down. So you really can't go wrong with what voice you choose, but I like the idea of being able to 1v1 a little bit better. Kind of helps quite a bit. So yeah, that's the abilities and that's the build. This dinosaur is a lot of fun. I'm really thankful that Path of Titans threw this out for Christmas, and so we finally have a new Apex theropod carnivore to play, and it looks super cool. I gotta say though, I fought a few Rexes so far, and I gotta say I'm a T-Rex main at heart, and the T-Rex still really has a terrifying presence. It can You don't really want to 1v1 a T-Rex with this thing, because a good T-Rex player can still put you down pretty good. So you, but who knows, as the dino is out for longer, maybe people kind of unlock how to do that a little bit better. But yeah, that's the build so far. If you guys want to stick around, I'll show a couple clips of me playing around on the dino. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you out there. Peace.